Good day, folks. I'd like to talk to you today about a simple gravity magnetic generator, and this is a real one and a very simple concept, and I'm surprised that people don't talk about it or display it more often today, because I actually saw something like this at the Science Center way back when I was 7 years old in Toronto, and it had me thinking even then, and without realizing it, I think those folks over there played a little bit of Tom Bearden without realizing it. And let me explain what they had. So there was like this, I don't know if they still do this, but they had like the electronics, Tesla, and electrostatic display, where the lab guy would come and do these experiments and demonstrate, lightning and whatnot. So again, I don't know if they still do that, but they did when I was young. And one of the demonstrations was quite a clever system, which looked a lot like one of the Bedini devices, which would maybe be standing a base, we'll say of 5 feet, not even maybe 4 feet, because it would be about the regular human height, right? And it was a base, let's say a solid base, we'll say a triangle foundation here that holds it. Again, apology for my drawing here. And a solid arm down here. And he has a magnet here, a very strong, I'm going to say rare earth magnet. And a simple pickup coil down here on the bottom, which is very basic, connects to a light bulb, a real 100 watt light bulb. And the whole idea is the person with zero effort pulls on this with his hand, brings it to, roughly shoulder level, lets it go, and this will swing back and forth like this, and back and forth like that, and keep going like this for a while, maybe 1 minute. It starts to slow down, but every time it passes near the coil, the 100 watt bulb actually very brightly lights up for a second or two. Now, I'm sure you folks realize that this is major power, even if it's just for a second or two, to be able to light up and give you a bright and a sustaining, because it's not an instant, that it's a pretty big coil. So a good part of that rotation, it's interacting with the coil. So I'd say maybe 2 seconds the light would stay on at every rotation. Now all the person had to do when it eventually settled, pull it back, drop it, very little effort, and then watch it swing back and forth for a minute or more until it slowly... Now, what's interesting is, this is kind of what Tom Bearden talks about when he says if you want to have more energy output in a system where you don't have to spend it in the input, your trigger, which is, in our case, the human effort, the energy we put into the system, should be asymmetrical, not symmetrical. So if we were to stand there and every time this thing had to come back, pull it up and drop it, we'd be putting work every time, every rotation. So there'd be no possible way of getting any bonuses here. But by keeping it asymmetrical, like Tom Bearden says, with very little effort, that's the equivalent of our zero current trigger. We drop it, we let the gravity and the environment do it, even if it dies down on its own after a minute or so. During all that time, because we're not regauging it, it's giving us an output. Now, instead of running a light bulb like this for a demonstration, unfortunately these folks cut it short there. But there's so much more you could actually do with this concept. For example, instead of a light bulb, this could charge a capacitor or a battery. If you rectify it, and then you get your DC plus and minus, which will charge a 12-volt battery or supercapacitors with. Real energy storage for very little input. Now, I understand that it'd probably be tedious to sit there every minute, but the point is, it's very little work, and it offers, in the most basic sense, this asymmetrical regauging, and we can see the effects firsthand. So if anybody is looking for a quote-unquote demonstration to demonstrate simple over unity as far as work in, work out goes, this is the perfect demonstration. May not be very practical in its current sense that somebody has to be there to make it work all the time, but the point is, This is less work than having to sit there and crank continuously a dynamo for 2 minutes and get a much less amount of energy than what this big thing can produce, you see? And now what also got me thinking was the next display here when I was 7 years old at the Science Center. I don't know if you folks seen this, where they had the bikes connected to the generators, where you'd ride the bike and the light bulb was connected to the bike to show you how much energy, 100 watts actually takes. You could actually feel that was part of the point when you're riding the bike. I mean, it was easy to keep the light going, but after a minute or so, it becomes a workout. And I remember even as a kid going that, it was hard to keep that 100 watt light bulb shining consistent without after a while having to stand on the bike, vroom, 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 vroom. So at this point, my light is blinking. It's not any better than this, and I'm doing all this work for it now. And then I'm seeing this thing, and I'm like, holy, pluck, flong, 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 flong. Now, obviously, there's more ways of doing this. This is one way. There's another way, which I think is better and even more simple, which I'm going to show you. Another variation of the same idea. And I saw all this work, folks, when I was little, so I know it works. So what you do here is you got your magnet. This is going to be a string, a real solid string, okay? So it can freely, but this way here we don't have the solid arm no more, and I'm going to get to that. So here's your magnet here on the string. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up like a square foundation here, let's say, okay? And we're going to put random coils all around here. And then eventually connect that to the light. Now what that's going to do is now instead of taking this and bringing it up to shoulder, you just have to give it a little tap. Now because it's going to feel the coils, what you're going to do is you're going to see that it's not going to do much, right? You're just going to move it around, and because there's a magnet and there's the coils, it's not going to really do anything as far as energy-wise, motion I'm talking about. So what you want to do is strategically place magnets of the opposite pole. We'll put rods here, here, there, like this, and maybe one here. You could experiment with this. So now what's that going to do is when you start moving, this is going to swivel all around here and there, and you're going to see the rope is going to rotate this way and go back random, and it's going to come in, and then it's going to hit a magnet at the opposite polarity, and it's either going to want to attract or want to repel real fast. But all you got to do is give it a little swing here. It's just going to give you the same thing, but without that back and forth swing, but you're going to end up having the same motion for about a minute and a half. It's just going to swivel much more locally. Now, this way here, I think, has an advantage because there's possibly a way, folks, to keep it going, okay? Because this is major energy every time, because this is a pretty big fan. We're talking to human size, a pretty big magnet here and pretty big coils. So, every time there's an interaction, there's a burst of 100 watts coming in for very little physical input power, okay? So what happens here is, like I said, we have our magnets. Let's say they're all ends. They're all ends magnet on the foundation here, okay? So what's going to happen is here, we're going to have a, we'll say N here as well. So whenever this tries to go anywhere near these, it is going to push it out of the way, and that's going to cause that rotation that the coils can interact with and convert back to energy. Now, what I was thinking is, instead of using a rope here, use a real heavy-duty electrical wire. Put a coil around your magnet here, okay? And this is your conduit. And aside from having your big light bulb running at every rotation of 100 watts, split that and charge a big capacitor, C1 we'll say, right here, okay? Now trigger it, let's say with something a large capacitor, let's say 80 volts. We'll use a discharge gap here. Discharge 90 volt gap. And what we do is we load the coil through the gap. So you see what's going to happen here, folks? You're going to start the swivel. It's going to swivel for a minute. You're going to get bursts of 100 watts, which is going to be more than enough to charge this capacitor here. And once it reaches 80 volts, it's going to pulse the magnet. It's going to flip the polarity of the magnet. So eventually what I'm getting at is this eventually settles on its own. But if you give it a pulse, poof, you could initiate the swing again through the pulse, you see? And then you'll be good again for a minute of this random swivel. The capacitor will self-charge, reach its trigger, and keep. The whole idea is, if it would be done right, this could be a way to generate continuous amounts of electricity here. But with all things, folks, there's a downside. And one reason that I don't like magnetics so much is, as some people have mentioned, magnetics eventually, if you use the power like this, they will eventually drain. Granted, it works better than batteries. You may get a year or two out of it, but there'll come a time where you're going to have to recondition those magnets. So a way around that is using good quality rare earth magnets to diminish the time you have to do that, and have a sort of setup where you can hot plug them in and out so it's easy when the time comes. Now, who says that reconditioning the magnets require current? If you look up with how they do it, it's usually a very strong magnetic field. So you know what I'm saying? If we know what we're doing, we could recondition our magnets with near zero current, and the magnetic field converts that into a more efficient source of that energy. You can't say stronger because the energy can be created out of nothing, but we could increase the efficiencies if we convert from one system to another that could better utilize what's already there. And essentially, this is what we're doing. So this is what I mean in Tom Bearden terms. You know, we're offering the asymmetrical regauge. We're giving it that pulse electrically. So the electric pulse, what I'm getting at, replaces our hand having to do it ourselves every minute. The cap will dump, give it a pulse, flip the polarity, the magnet, enough to give it a swing, hopefully. We'll need to experiment with different capacitor values, but knowing the concept works, seeing it working myself in person, seeing it actually run a 100-watt light bulb, it's just a matter of putting it together. Somebody who has a better workshop. I will eventually, if I can, build this, because it's actually, one technically could use it, you know, a piece of wood, a couple pieces of wood for the base, and a few magnets, coils. I mean, there's nothing very voodoo or anything hard to understand here. So again, with that said, I'm really surprised nobody has covered this concept in more details. But it's there. I've seen it. The science centers demonstrated, not at this level, probably because they don't want to deal with the scrutiny, even if they know inside that this would probably work. So they stop at the back and forth and then move on to the next experiment. But even when I was 7 years old and I saw that, I said, my goodness, you know, that, you know, isn't that like, to my mind, I figured, you know, a source of free energy, even though, you know, you still got to do the trigger, more like very efficient energy. So with that said, folks, just another video to make awareness on certain topics, and again, to make everyone think, and inspiration perhaps, better systems, more knowledge. So with that said, have yourselves all a great day, and thank you for watching.